Okay, here we have an aquarium, and we have, we don't know the length, or the breadth, or the height, or the volume. And the question is, calculate the volume. And there are two different methods you can use here, and I'm going to show you both of them. What do you know then? Well, of course, they've got to tell you something, otherwise this question wouldn't be solvable. What they've given you is, they've given you that the front has an area of 96 decimeters squared. Should be squared there, sorry, not cubed. The front area is 96 decimeters squared. We also know that the top area is 60 decimeters squared. Now the front will be made up of the length times the height, and the top will be made up of the breadth, the length times the breadth. And then we know that the side is 40 decimeters squared, which we know is made up of the breadth times the height. So what we could do is we could just look at some different numbers here. If we look at the number 40, we can think of how is 40 made up? Well, it could be made up by 10 by 4. It could also be made up by 5 by 8. Let's look at 60 then. Well, 60 could be made up by 15 times 4. It could also be made up by 6 times 10. How else could we make 60? It could be 3 by 20. And then we've got 96. How can we make 96 up? Well, we could use 12 by 8. Here's an 8 here, and there's an 8 here. And I've got a 12 here, and I don't have any 12 in my 60, so I'd really like to find a number that multiplied by 12 gives me 60. And if I look at that, I can get 5. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to find 3 numbers, and all the same numbers are in each one. And if I look here, here I've got 5 by 8. Here I've got 12 by 5. That gives me 2 lots of 5. And here I've got 12 by 8. So that means I've got 12 2 times, I've got 8 2 times, and I've got 5 2 times. And that's what I would need to have in my equation. So my dimensions must be length 12. The aquarium looks a little bit shallower than it is high, so I'd say my breadth would be 5, and my height would be 8. So now I can quite easily work out my volume. Volume equals length times breadth times height, which is 12 times 5 times 8. 12 5s are 60. 60 times 8, 6 8s are 48, and then add a 0. So my volume would be 480 decimeters cubed. And that's using the guessing method. But let's try and do the same thing here with algebra instead. So how would we solve it with algebra then? Well, what do we know? We do know that 96 decimeters squared is the same as L times H. We also know that, so we could actually rewrite H here, and we could say that H is the same as 96 divided by L. That's a really bad L, it looks more like a 6. But hey, just rearranging here, dividing both sides by L here, gives me that H equals 96 divided by L. What else do I know? Well, I know that 60 decimeters squared, the surface area of the top, 60 is the same as L times B. And I don't have B in terms of... So we know that 60 is LB, and we'll leave that one for the moment, because there's another one that we also know, we know that 40 equals B times H. So I would like to rearrange that one so that we get it in terms of B as well. So we get, rearranging this, we get that B is 40 is B times H, but I do know what H is now, because I've already said that H is the same as 96 over L. So wherever I see H, I put in 96 over L. Why am I doing that? Well, it's actually giving me two equations here, where I have B and L in both of them. And if I have two equations, here's equation 2 and here's equation 1. If I have two equations that both have B and L in them, I can solve them quite easily now. Let's rearrange equation 2. I can say that B here equals 60 divided by L. So now whenever I see B, I can substitute B equals 60L into this equation 1 here. So let's do that. What do I then know? Well, I know that 40 equals B, but I know that B equals 60 divided by L here. So I get 60 divided by L times my next expression, which is 96 divided by L. Right, let's just rearrange that equation. Let's multiply both sides of my equation by L squared. Why would I do that? Well, it will get rid of these two L's down here, because this L and this L will cancel with L squared. L times L is L squared. And it would give me 40 lots of L squared is the same as 60 times 96. And now to get L squared by itself, therefore L squared is going to be 60 times 96 divided by 40. And we can cheat a little bit here and use our calculators. 60 times 96 divided by 40 gives us that L squared equals 144 decimeters squared. If I know what L squared is, I know that L must equal the square root of 144, which is then 12 decimeters. So now I know that my L here is 12 decimeters. Now I know that if the L is 12 and the front area is 96, what times 12 will give me 96? Well, 12 eighths are 96, so I now know that H must be 8 decimeters. If I know that H is 8 and something times H gives me 40, what must B be? Well, it must be 5. So now you've solved that system using equations as well, and you could have manipulated any of those. It's a bit longer than guessing, and this was nice numbers, but if the numbers had been a little bit harder, you'd have had to solve it using an algebra way instead. Okay?